What's up, everybody? It's Julian Gordon here, and today I want to talk about this notion of allowance. When I was growing up, I got an allowance. I remember first getting an allowance, and I think it was about $20. And I was in junior high school at the time, and what did I do with it? I think I bought some cookies and some other candies at school, and then I saved the rest, right? It didn't create that much new space in my life, right? It wasn't that much money. I was grateful for it, but it wasn't that much money. It didn't allow for me to do anything else. And so as I went to high school, my allowance increased, and it allowed me to go do things on weekends that I wanted to do. But even then, I was capped, right, based on my allowance. And I had to figure out, how can I actually grow this thing, right? And my dad wasn't going to budge. The number was the number. And so that's when I started thinking creatively about entrepreneurship at that age and how I could actually increase the amount of money that I was earning so that I would be allowed to do the thing that I ultimately wanted. And so when we think about our careers and our salaries, in many cases our salaries are a form of an allowance. And it's an allowance from this paternal figure that we call our employer. And many of us are capped in terms of our allowance, and we don't feel like our allowance is giving us enough to actually have the lifestyle that we ultimately want. And so we have to figure out how to break that ceiling, right, that what I call salary cap, and find new ways to expand ourselves so that we are allowed to do the things that we ultimately want. But before we even think about that, as a result, many of us think specifically about, I just want to make more money. And if I say I'll give you $50,000 or $100,000 right now, you would say, yeah, I'll take that, right? But the big question is, I got this from one of my friends, Bert. He said one of his mentors asked him the question, and he asked it to me. He said, Julian, if you got a $100,000 windfall right now, what would you do with it? And when he asked me that, I was stuck. I didn't really have it earmarked for anything. I didn't know what I would do with it. And when you don't know what you're going to do with the money, where do you put it? You put it in a savings account that's probably losing you money based on inflation, right? And the interest rate is so low. And so a lot of us want more money, but the big question is not how much money do I want, how much more money do I want? The big question is, if you got more money, what would it allow you to do in your life that you can't do right now? I've said this before, I'm not rich, but I am free. And I know that freedom doesn't cost what we all think it does. In America, I don't know where we get this number from. Maybe it's the show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But in America, people believe, oh, once I get to $1 million, I'm good, right? And hopefully you're good. But guess what? I believe that you can be free for a lot less than that. And what if you could just have everything that you wanted without having to go play that game and pursue? If that $1 million comes, if money comes to you throughout your life, great. But there's a way to be free without necessarily being the richest person on the block, right? And that's what I want to help people explore. Because when I think about my life, you know, I come from privilege, and the fact that I even had an allowance indicates that. And when I think about my life, I ask myself, how much of my success is simply based off the fact that I'm the son of two doctors? How much of my success is based off of me just riding the wave of privilege that I had? And, you know, I didn't start from the bottom. But when I look at my life and the choices that I've made, I didn't become a doctor like my parents. And not even to say that, but I know that at some point, and this was really after I finished business school at Stanford, I actually made a bold, intentional choice about the direction of my life that wasn't influenced by society, wasn't influenced by my peers, wasn't influenced by my parents. It was really coming from my deep sense of purpose. And I know that though I didn't start from the bottom and make it to the top or something like that, because I started from pretty high up. I started from the top. Where do you go from there, right? I do know that even from that place of privilege, I actually paved my own road. I paved my own road. I didn't just ride the existing wave that existed. I paved my own road. And so for me, the game isn't about making as much money as possible. That's not the goal. The goal for me is to be free. And I believe that we can feel free to live out our values when we actually know our value. When you think about wanting to make more money, my big question to you is why? What will more money allow for you to do that you can't do right here and right now? Oh, it'll allow me to travel the world. Well, if I look at your budget right now, could you actually do that right now? Oh, well, it'll allow me to save. You know, a lot of people, because they are so fear-based, they will just take this $100,000 and they'll just stack it in a bank account and they won't do anything in it. And that actually hurts the economy, right? It's called currency because it's supposed to have current. It's supposed to flow. When money stays still, it gets static, it creates a swamp, and that's what slows down the economy. And a lot of people are moving through their lives, not just this economic environment, but through their lives in fear. They would take that $100,000 and they would feel a little bit more secure that they would never hit rock bottom. And that's not what we ultimately want. We don't want money just to have stacks of it. We don't want to be Scrooge McDuck diving into piles of coins, right? We don't want money for the sake of having money. We want money for what we think is going to allow us to do, right? There goes that word again, allow. What will more money even allow you to do that you can't do right here and right now? Some people say, oh, if I hit the lotto, I would quit right now. Well, guess what? You don't have to hit the lotto to quit right now. If I won the lotto, I would do this. Well, guess what? You could actually go do that right now, this weekend. Well, if I won the lotto, I would do this. Well, you can do that right here and right now. You don't have to wait until this event. You don't have to wait until you reach $1 million to actually have the life that you want. You can actually have it right here and right now. And so for those of you out there who are just seeking more money for the sake of having more money, I really challenge you to question yourself and say, what would more money allow me to do that I can't currently do right now? Would it allow me to pay off my student debt? Okay, then once that's paid off, then what will more money allow you to do? Oh, it allowed me to buy my mother a home. That's one of my goals. My mother's on a fixed income right now, and I know that fixed income is going to be very hard to live off of for the rest of her life. And so I want to make sure that she has a space to call home. And so that's one thing that I know more money would allow me to do that I can't do right now. So when I think about my motivations for working hard, for building my business, that's one of my motivations. And what I find is some of the deepest motivations are the ones that are actually selfless, that have nothing to do with you, and they are actually for other people, right? But I don't want you to think about it from a fear-based place, because I've been in rooms of millionaires and I've asked them similar questions to this, and they're like, yo, I need more money. What if my daughter has brain cancer? What if my wife needs a heart transplant? How am I going to afford it? And it was just weird when I was having this conversation with them, because all these fears got triggered, that I need more money. It was like this justification of why I need more money for these random events that could possibly happen and could have a high price tag to them. But that was actually their driver for seeking more and more money. And I just don't think that that's a healthy way to live. I think that there's a way to be free without necessarily being rich and having tons of wealth. Do I want you to have wealth, and do I want you to have riches? Yes, but I think there's a way for you to be free without that actually being a prerequisite or a requirement. So I just wanted to share my thoughts about allowance and more money and seeking it just for the sake of having it. Instead, I want you to ask, what would more money allow me to do? Will it allow me to give more? Would it allow me to travel more? Would it allow me to have more? Would it allow me to be more of who I want to be? Would it allow me to do more of what I want to do? And not just speak about those things vaguely. What would it allow you to do? Who would it allow you to be? And I know that when I look deep into each one of you, there's somebody in there that is more powerful than how we're all showing up, right? We all have opportunity for growth. We're all at what I call our false peak. Our false peak is this space where we think we're at the top of our game, but then we pull ourselves over the cliff and we realize that the true peak is actually up there. And we all have that in us. At every moment in our lives, there's an opportunity for growth. And my challenge to you is not to wait for more money to be who you ultimately want to be. Instead, be who you want to ultimately be first. And if more money comes along the way, even better. So again, this is Julian Gordon, just dropping a little knowledge about allowance and money and wealth and fear and scarcity. I hope that this video has inspired you. Again, wishing you more happy hours, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.